the EU delegations in the Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia, and all regional partners and space agencies, PhilSA, BRIN of Indonesia, and GISTDA of Thailand, and with the support of the European Space Policy Institute. And with this, I would like to welcome you all, and we can begin. And to guide us through our first session, the official launch of the Scope Digital Initiative, we are privileged to have with us someone who has been deeply involved in Earth observation capacity development for more than 40 years across Europe, Africa, and Asia. Mr. Peter Zeil is the senior consultant and co-founder of Spatial Services, a company specializing in geospatial information, Copernicus applications, and spatial data infrastructures. Over his career, he has worked extensively with governments, multilateral institutions, and space agencies to translate EO data into real decision-making tools for risk reduction, land management, and climate resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Peter Zeil.
So without further ado, I will actually start the session because, I mean, it's quite a travel through this to save on time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me extend a warm welcome to everyone that's gathered here today for the launch of this Scope Digital, which, as the ambassador said, extends our Copernicus cooperation further into ASEAN partners. I'm very pleased to be here from the European Union's headquarters in Brussels. And as has been said, I work for the International Partnerships Directorate General, which is building partnerships with all our countries in South and Southeast Asia. Firstly, let me echo the message of our ambassador and sending our thoughts to those affected by the earthquake and the typhoon, all those Cebuano and Cebuanas that have been affected. And as he said, the EU support is already arriving to support those in need. The EU's external strategy is framed by our Global Gateway strategy, which is about trusted and reliable connections. And it's connectivity in the areas of digital, energy, and transport, while at the same time strengthening research networks, health, and education. Now, Global Gateway combines hard infrastructure with soft infrastructure, such as governance, regulatory frameworks, and training. And since 2021, the European Union has mobilized over 300 billion euros of investments to support this connectivity agenda. Global Gateway is about equal partnerships, addressing the public policy needs of our partner countries, ensuring lasting benefits. Now, our Copernicus program, in close cooperation with the European Space Agency, is a key part of our Global Gateway deliverables, as it focuses on the key priorities of digital, research, education, and delivering on our partner countries' public policy goals. Yesterday, I had the pleasure to give a speech and award ceremony for it's an ideathon, where some very young, dynamic, and inspiring young people were using Copernicus data to solve issues such as plastic waste and mangrove monitoring. Now, Copernicus, as the European Union's flagship Earth observation program, leverages our cutting-edge satellite technology, specifically the Sentinels, alongside in-situ data. Now, this program provides precise, timely, and easily accessible information about the planet, which supports a wide range of critical applications, such as environmental monitoring, disaster management, agriculture, food security, and scientific research. Now, as has been said, our first program is here in the Philippines and plays a vital role in enhancing the Philippines' ability to use Earth observation data for sustainable development, for climate resilience, and for disaster management. And we work very closely and very happy with the Philippines Space Agency and the Department of Science and Technology. This cooperation with the Philippines has allowed us to support the first Copernicus mirror site, the data center, which ensures local access to satellite imagery and analytics, which allows local institutions to make the decisions necessary in key areas to support the benefits for all the people in terms of the work. We're launching today Scope Digital, which rolls out the Copernicus program further into ASEAN countries, as we've said already, to Indonesia and Thailand, which will further strengthen the EU-ASEAN partnership, which will soon in fact celebrate its 50 years anniversary. We will include Indonesia, Thailand, and they will also benefit from this Earth observation data to improve their own planning, resilience building and response. And I'm pleased to see here today, and I've met already the representatives from BRIN and from GISTDA. Now, as well as advancing Earth observation, we're also fostering a collaboration between ASEAN partners, between the public and private sector, and between academic institutions. And also very glad to see the partners that I've met many of you the last couple of days from academia and the private sector, from the European Union and locally. You will all help to build sustainable innovation and knowledge transfer. Now, the ASEAN region faces shared environmental challenges. These can be addressed more effectively with the use of Copernicus. From disaster management to natural resource conservation, Copernicus offers data-driven solutions to improve people's lives. And the success of these programs means that we're already planning to scale this to other ASEAN member states and more broadly across the Asia-Pacific region. Dear partners, space agencies, government ministries, private sector participants, researchers and academics, today's launch provides an opportunity for all of us to come together, exchange ideas and to strengthen our collaboration. The increasing use of high-quality, reliable Copernicus data applied to innovative policy can change the lives of people. So once again, I thank you all for being here today. Your participation is greatly appreciated. I know you can have a lot more interesting sessions and debates and roundtables over this afternoon. I look forward to our continued collaboration as we build the future of Earth observation together. Thank you very much.
To everyone, it is a pleasure to be here today with all of you, of course, colleagues and partners from across the region and beyond for the launching of Scope Digital. My name is Denis Villorente from the Philippine Space Agency, as introduced. And I'm here to present the National Copernicus Capacity Support Action Program for the Philippines, quite a mouthful. But in short, we call it CAPPHIL Center, the groundwork for Philippine-EU Earth Observation Partnership. A quick background, the Philippine Space Agency, or PhilSA, was established through the Philippine Space Act back in 2019. So PhilSA is the central government agency of our country addressing national issues and activities in space science technology applications, or SSTA. It is attached to the Office of the President of the Philippines for purposes of policy and program coordination, as well as to ensure alignment in national policies and priorities. Our head is the Director General with the rank of Cabinet Secretary, and he also serves as Presidential Advisor for Space Matters. In the Philippine space policy, the framework for SSTA development stipulates 6 key development areas, and these are national security and development, hazard management and climate studies, research, space research and development, space education and awareness, industry capacity building, and finally, international cooperation. To provide context, the Philippines is a mega diverse country. We have over 2 million square kilometers of maritime waters, encompassing an important part of the Coral Triangle. We are home to thousands of species of flora and fauna, many of which have well-established commercial value and are under stress. On the other hand, the Philippines is exposed to hazards such as typhoons that develop in the Western Pacific, and we are on the track of most of these typhoons. On average, we have 25 typhoons visiting the Philippines in a year. And of course, we have earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, the country being in the Pacific Rim of Fire. And so management and monitoring systems for our resources and our territory are indispensable for our country. CAPPHIL is the first Copernicus Earth Observation Program in Southeast Asia, as was already mentioned, and the Philippines is the first country in Asia to host a dedicated Copernicus data facility. Copernicus is the European Union's Earth Observation Program that aims to deliver near real-time data on a global level, which can also be used for local and regional needs. and to better understand our planet and sustainably manage the environment we live in. On the other hand, the Global Gateway is a European strategy to mobilize investment to boost smart, clean, and secure links in digital, energy, and transport sectors, and to strengthen health, education, and research systems across the world. COP-Phil is part of the EU's Global Gateway strategy. In the words of Her Excellency Ursula von der Leyen, we are currently setting up a so-called Copernicus Data Mirror within the Philippine Space Agency, and we have just signed an agreement to boost the flow of on-Earth observation data between us. This is very important for early warning, for example, for extreme weather phenomenon, and to improve climate resilience. And this is the first in space cooperation in Asia. The Philippines now hosts servers where Copernicus Sentinel data are made more accessible and distributed across the country and the region. We recently launched this Copernicus Mirror site, providing quick access to high-quality Earth observation data courtesy of the Sentinel satellites, and supporting climate vulnerability assessments, hazard management, and biodiversity conservation. The main objectives of COP-Phil are to facilitate the uptake of Copernicus data in the Philippines with an initial thematic focus on 3 Earth observation pilot services, the 3 being ground motion monitoring, land use, land cover, forest mapping, and crop mapping, and benthic habitat monitoring. Second, to set up a Copernicus Mirror site in the country, and third, to contribute to strengthening skills development, visibility, and awareness of Earth observation use in the country. And this cooperation brings together the European Commission through DG INTPA and the European Union delegation in the Philippines, the European Space Agency, and the government of the Philippines, with PhilSA and the Department of Science and Technology as partners. Together, these 3 components strengthen our country's ability to use space data for sustainable development and resilience. As I mentioned, the Copernicus Mirror site in the country was officially turned over. We launched it in November and officially turned over to to PhilSA in August of this year, during the Philippine Space Week celebration. And this mirror site is already operational with an estimated 400 terabytes of Copernicus Sentinel satellite data, providing a complete archive currently just of the Philippine territory and our surrounding maritime areas. But with Scope Digital, we hope that this will be expanded to cover Southeast Asia. On the 3 pilot services, ground motion monitoring is useful for detecting movement of the ground, whether this is due to landslides or subsidence, seismic risks, mining, urban subsidence, and so on. And the second pilot services, on the other hand, this has a broader scope, and the service includes the generation of various land-related maps and indicators. First, we have the land cover map, which we plan to update annually. Alongside this, we also produce land cover change maps, which allow us to detect changes in land use over time. We also generate data on tree cover density, the extent and type of forest areas, and we implement near real-time forest distribution monitoring. And this disturbance monitoring can be updated weekly or monthly, providing more timely insights. And then we also have the pilot implementation for crop mapping. This slide shows an example of one of our pilot sites. And we already have data sets in use by the Philippine Rice Research Institute, as well as the Sugar Regulatory Administration. And at present, we're also focusing on corn mapping. Okay. This image shows an initial output from COP-Phil with our partners, and we aim to produce this map annually, capturing what types of crops are planted and where they are located. Flood impact maps show actual extents of flooding. The image flood extent maps are for several regions in the Philippines following the heavy rains due to Typhoon Tino and Typhoon Uwan, which passed through the Philippines just this past weeks. We also have damage mapping. This damage estimation comes from Sentinel-1 images, and it complements optical imaging during typhoon events. And then this one shows possible landslide extents in a municipality here in the province of Cebu. These images were acquired from Sentinel-2, and affected areas were identified by comparing post-disaster images with pre-disaster imagery. And then this map shows extent of burnt areas due to grass fires in the north of the Philippines. And then we also have oil spill mapping. The image is not rendering here. And then just to summarize, since 2022, PhilSA has produced more than 70,000 maps, which we have complemented with more than 200,000 person hours of training for end users. And then the third component of COPPhil is the capacity support action. And this aims to increase awareness on the benefit and limitations of Earth observation, as well as to translate and develop specific EO skills and knowledge to our local end users. Under component 3, we have undertaken the following activities as shown in this slide. And there is also an ongoing call for applications for an EU COPPhil scholarship program targeting Filipinos, as well as a digital campus now accessible online through the website indicated here. Courses COPPhil.philsa.gov.ph, and this offers a series of trainings on Earth observation and tools there. Other recent engagements include the Living Planet Symposium, participation there, the COPPhil exhibit during the Philippine Space Week, and the recently concluded EU Copernicus Youth Challenge. And then you can see here some operational systems already in use in the Philippine government that are based on Copernicus data. We have from the Philippine Rice Research Institute, they are using Sentinel data to map rice areas as well as to predict rice yield. And then for the National Mapping and Resource Information Agency, they use Copernicus data to generate land cover maps. From the Sugar Regulatory Administration to map sugarcane plantations. And then from the Philippine Institute of Volcanology, they employ the Sentinel data to detect and map ground movements for disaster risk management. We're very excited for Scope Digital, and we stand ready to support and share our experience and learnings in COPPhil with Scope Digital partners, GISTDA and BRIN. Moving forward, the Philippines is preparing for the signing, I believe tomorrow or the next day, this week, and implementation of the Digital Economy Package. And this will position the country as a regional digital hub for Earth observation and enable broader regionalization of the Copernicus program across Southeast Asia. Aligned with this, COPPhil stands ready to serve as a regional support hub under Digital Scope to provide expertise where we can accelerate the rollout of Scope Digital's Earth observation services aimed at enhancing climate resilience, environmental monitoring, hazard management across the region. And through this collaboration with Scope Digital partners, we hope that COPPhil's transformative services can be extended beyond our national borders and contribute to a more connected, data-enabled, and resilient Southeast Asia region. Just to conclude, you may also refer to this online ebook. We've entitled Our Place in Space for more information on the work that we do at PhilSA. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have the honor to introduce you to the Scope Digital new initiative, which was already mentioned at different levels today already, but I think it's a very good start to listen to Denis in presentations, seeing how the national example in the Philippines is working, to bring it now to the regional part. And this is really only possible being supported through the Global Gateway Strategy. It's really something where we use the Copernicus data sets as a global public good to bring it to countries and the region here in ASEAN. And that is very much important also to mention that we do that together across the different space agencies. We just already heard from the Philippine Space Agency, but we also have the Indonesian space group from BRIN, and then GISTDA from Thailand. And that is the group of people who really make this possible. And I really insist that this is it's a partnership, and we really want to work together to make that work. So just where we're coming from, just one slide. What is the European Space Agency? We are working together with our 23 member states in Europe to make space work in terms of innovation, new research, new use of and applications of space. We're here talking about Earth observation, but ESA is crossing all the different space sectors with a budget of 7.7 billion in this year. But I mean, we actually expand that over the next years to even a higher budget. Talking about Europe is one thing, but we actually really work as an intergovernmental organization, as a global space agency. So we work in international relation and cooperation together with many different space agencies. And just to give you a feeling for that, I brought you this little video to show that we really work also very much together with this region from space. Perspective is global, and the rockets shows also where we're going. Here you have ISRO. It's one of our partners in the Asian region, but JAXA is another very important partner, and GISTDA, Indonesia, and Philippine Space Agency is a very important partner. And you see here the 8 IRC, but also very important missions. We build missions together with JAXA, here Earth Care, as one of the new scientific missions. I mention that because building on this type of cooperation in space, you can call it also space diplomacy, the Global Gateway is really the way how we bring this also further on the ground into the countries, together with DG INTPA and the EU delegations to make that work. And I think this is a really nice complementary cooperation across the different European stakeholders together with you in this region. So really coming to the point where we are actually gathering here today, it's about this new initiative to make sure that we can build on this national example from COPFIL to something which is more regional, because we understand in this region you have very similar type of needs in terms of information from space, using it for managing of disaster risk management or climate adaptation. So we want to use that type of need as a driver to make the use of Copernicus even more prominent. I mean, we have seen it's already existing, and we will see from BRIN and GISTDA in a moment how they're already using it and how we can build on it. And you see, for that, we do need the different stakeholders and partners to make this work. And it's something which is starting with the space agencies. You need the European context from DG INTPA, but also DG DEFIS, who's in charge of the Copernicus program. And then in the end, you want to have also the ministries in each of the countries who are actually the mandated users to use the information. It's not only digital pixels. You actually want to have information being used to drive decisions. So that is translating into, let's say, a joint approach where we want to work together, co-design and co-develop the different services. We have already seen from Denis that this is translating into tangible, concrete services like disaster risk monitoring. Very good examples you already showed, and the unfortunate recent events showed the need for this kind of information to be developed and delivered by the people who need this most. Agriculture, forest, marine, all of them you already presented very nicely, so I don't go into detail, but what we want to make out of that is not only to co-design this because it needs to be adapted to the local national needs, we want to also transfer that and to make sure that this is something which is fully owned and brought into the context of your operations. And with that, we use open source algorithms, so it's something which is not a black box for anybody. It's something which you have fully under control and understood, but also to understand, bringing the expertise to the different people by who's producing the information, but also who's receiving the information, to make sure that you actually understand what is behind it and what is the potential to make that information most active or most effective. So for that you need training, you need to have information, how to make that work, and actually also make sure that you have the full access to these data, and that is the mirror site you have just seen. In terms of activities, we go from the very simple user requirement consolidation, so working with people, talking, listening, creating out of that the right type of service, bringing it into technical algorithms, as I said, that is fully in co-design and co-development, and we already started this kind of process. And then we demonstrate this in tangible use cases, basically together with the mandated users. Finally, as I said, this needs to have capacity development and engagement. There will be national trainings together with BRIN and GISTDA and PhilSA over the next 2 years. And we also want to bring it more to the regional level, so there will be regional stakeholder workshops to bring even other space agencies and countries into this process in the next few years. And we hope we will have here at the APR SAF context the right context and discussions on that. So, I mean, we already heard about the COP Center, so I will not spend a lot of time on it. It's unfortunately a little bit messed up. But I wanted to share with you actually tangible results and to give you also the idea what we could now do with within scope with GISTDA and BRIN, the same type of workflow, going from the launch, which we have here today, but then also engagement of different national users. And here we have, for example, 5 different ministries of the Philippines involved, many different offices. You really need to drill down to the people who need this data. Otherwise, you develop something which is technically fine, but not useful. And it is really a fine difference, but that kind of process needs to be understood and made possible. And in the end, what is important is the output in terms of information. And there's 5 different services. Denis gave you all the details on that, so I will not repeat myself. Another output is the mirror site, which is in terms of infrastructure, a very important part of it. Data is not information yet, but it's something you want to control and own. And that is something why we bring this to the different users as well as the national stakeholders. So that is something we, as you heard, just brought into life and on the ground in Manila, in a data center, which is a very concrete result. Sometimes not so easy to do, but it's a big achievement. It's running, and I'm really happy to see that coming out of 3 years of preparation. Then my final slide, just Okay, we jumped this basically because you saw the services already. My final slide is about partnerships. So really about the people who are behind it, and we already started now working with BRIN and GISTDA. In May, we visited them to understand really what their priorities are, their requirements, their needs. That is discussions which started and are now ongoing. We had already today the latest discussions how this can be going into concrete activities. That's all what I want to say, and thank you very much.
So I'm Parwati Sofan. I'm from BRIN, Indonesia. It's a pleasure to be here today. And first of all, I'd like to appreciate the support that provided from ESA, so we can gather together here, aiming at strengthening collaboration between EU and Southeast Asia countries in the field of geospatial services. And today, I would like to deliver a talk on the expected impact of scope implementation in Indonesia. So here is the outline of my presentation. And first, we'll talk about the introduction about Indonesia background related to the significance of scope platform. And the second, we would like to introduce our prototype, GeoMimo, and the relation with the scope. And third, about the potential implementation of scope in Indonesia, potential collaboration, and closing remarks. Let's begin with the introduction. So as you may have known that Indonesia spent about 1.9 million kilometers square of land, 3.2 million kilometers of sea, and 17,000 islands with abundant natural resources. However, we face frequent natural disasters from flood to volcanic eruption and have a huge population vulnerable to climate change impact. And our president has declared about 17 priority programs for national development, with food security as the number one, and other important sectors such as energy, water, and environmental sustainability. And here, by the geospatial services, we aim to provide space-based information to support monitoring of these sectors. And we believe that Scope Digital Hub will be instrumental in achieving this. And this project will also advance us to achieve SDGs and net zero emission goals. And now we would like to share our modality, a prototype we call as GeoMimo, Geo-Informatics Multi-Input, Multi-Output Indonesia. It's kind of platform for collecting, processing, and analyzing geospatial dataset. And GeoMimo has 4 subsystems. First is geodata, here. Geodata collects satellite data, including ESA, you can see here. Through the Scope Digital Hub and other resources, we will produce analysis-ready data. And then second is geo-analysis process. So this, from the data ready, we will process the data to generate information on, for example here, flood, food security, disaster and environment, greenhouse gases emission, and other strategic issues. And the third, finally, we will do some geo-visualization, which present the products to the public, as well as dedicated users, private user, and also the academia. And here is one of our modality in detail about the thematic application. First, for the food security, we do crop monitoring using Sentinel-1. So with the modeling of crop penology, we estimate the planting to harvest timelines, crop area, and the crop production. And in collaboration with Ministry of Agriculture, we developed the standing crop information system or what we call as CISCROP. At this time is in the version 2. Future research will be explore other crops to support food biodiversity, and this also advances the SDG number 2 for zero hunger. And for water application, we have modality on lake monitoring. Indonesia has about 15 priority of lakes that need to be preserved. And by using Sentinel-2, we can monitor the lake area and the water quality. For this application, we have not developed the information system yet. And this product will be useful for the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Public Work. It also supports the SDGs number 6 and 15. For this one is the energy application. We have modality on open pit mining mapping for the whole Indonesia using Sentinel-2 data. We did the research with the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, and we think that this topic could also be potential to be implemented in scope, while it's support the SDGs number 13 and 15. For the environmental topic, in the coastal marine ecosystem, we have modality research on mangrove, seagrass, coral reef mapping using Sentinel-2 and Landsat-8 as well. We do the collaboration with the university and the Ministry of Environment. And for this application, the geospatial platform has not been developed yet. Monitoring, we collaborate with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry to establish a national forest monitoring system. At this moment, we call it Simontana. It provides forest cover information and forest loss or devegetation mapping. At this moment, it's just available by using Landsat-8, and it is highly possible to implement Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2. The other application for environmental research is land subsidence monitoring. We utilize Sentinel-1 data to map land subsidence for coastal security in 5 cities in the northern part of coastal Java. And potential collaboration is with the local government and the Ministry of Environment. And this is also possible to be established as the geospatial platform. And the last application for disaster, we would focus on the use of Sentinel-1 and 2 for mapping burn area. We collaborate with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry to establish Sipongi. At the version, the burn area for some reason is delivered in the table format, not in the spatial raster data for each province. So there will be highly possible to also provide kind of the geospatial services. So for the potential collaboration, we believe that scope can support the GeoMemo, and the activities may include, for example, joint publication, researcher exchange by training, postdoctoral program, and visiting researcher that also can be supported by BRIN. And the dissemination to the stakeholders by the conducting FDG and meetings also is important. Now we can conclude that the scope aligns with the GeoMemo to support Indonesian government for some priority applications. And we believe also the Copernicus data and our modality on the technical algorithm can be implemented in the scope for providing geospatial services. And of course, strengthening collaboration with stakeholders is important for the practical use of scope, and international collaboration between EU and Southeast Asia countries is also essential to co-develop geospatial services. That's all for me today. Thank you so much for your attention.
Utilize the co-organised data Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and so on, with in like operation of the country. And I would say congratulations for the launch today. So okay, I want to maybe before waiting for the slide, so I would want to briefly about what we do in Thailand. GISTDA, we are the Space Technology Development Agency. We have to work together. Like the first part, we do about the space development. We have our own satellite that on the orbit right now, and we also focus on this space application. We have 6 integrated application, which is I really want to show you through the slide. Like just to talk briefly about what we have been done in the country. Okay, this is the 6 integrated solution that we already developed in the country. The first one is the mapping. The mapping we is that okay? Okay. We provide the annually of national mapping within 2-meter resolution, and it meets the standard. So we have the the standard accuracy for the best map for the whole country every year already. The second one is the disaster. We do monitor flood, drought, fire, and also the air pollution. And we use the Sentinel data as a backbone of our operation, since the ESA provide the Sentinel data. So we developed the flood mapping and service for the country. So basically, we process all of the Sentinel image that pass Thailand since they start. The third one is the urban. We also provide the digital twin data. We have our survey and high resolution mapping unit. So we try to develop the 3D infrastructure for the whole country, specifically in the very important urban area. And the fourth one is the national resources. We do monitor forest and ocean and also the water for the whole country. And we also provide the above ground biomass baseline for the whole country through Carbon Atlas project. The next one will be the social stabilities. We provide the geo-health that related with the pollution, air pollution. So we have the application that monitor PM 2.5 and also has the application that we collaborate with the Ministry of Public Health to give the advice for the people who may affect from the PM 2.5 problem in the country. And the last one is the agriculture. We provide the crop monitoring for the whole country for rice, sugarcane, cassava, and maize every 15 days. And we also provide the annually monitor for para rubber and oil palm for the whole country. And because of the Sentinel-2, we inspire from it, like with the visiting time in every 5 days at 20 meters resolution. So we developed the Dragonfly application, the application that sends the information directly extract from the satellite through the mobile phone. So they can, monitor the NDVI every 5 days. And we plan to utilize more in Sentinel-1 in order to fill the gap of the cloud in rainy season. So this is the thing that already going on in Thailand now. And next, what we want to propose in this to join the Scope Digital Initiative. We have 3 themes. The first one is BRIN or Wi-Fi. The second one is landslide monitoring. The third one is crop monitoring. And the additional collaboration that we really want to join is the biomass. Okay, let's go to the first one. For the burn area, we currently, now we utilize the Sentinel data to detect not only the Sentinel data, we utilize all of NASA data set like from VIR and MODIS to detect the hotspot. And we also use multi-sensor, including the Sentinel, to detect the burn area for the whole country. In order to like send the information to Ministry of Agriculture and also the Forest Department to tackle the problem of the air pollution in Thailand. So we expect some collaboration from the scope through the scope digital initiative. We want to cooperate more of the Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-3 data in the processing workflow. And we want to calibrate and validate the fire detection. Also, we want to develop the cross-border burn data set for our region because of the air pollution is transboundary pollution. So we want to explore how ESA utilize the Copernicus Emergency Management Service for rapid response. The next theme is for landslide monitoring. This one, GISTDA is still have a lot of, no, not a lot. Actually, we are lacking of know-how to like extract the landslide monitoring in the Thailand. We still not have any operation process yet. So, but by the way, we already done some POC pilot project to develop the INSA-based system using the Sentinel-1 to track the slope stabilities and the ground deformation. And for the validation, we will use the high resolution data from the TOS2 and auto sensor to validate the result. For the outcome that we want to operate this landslide hazard map in the mountain area or any risks that may happen in the southern part of Thailand. And what we expect from the collaboration, we want the technical cooperation on advanced INSA processing methodologies and also the joint pilot project in high-risk zone alongside the support for the capacity building in the SAR analytics and monitoring. The third one is the crop mapping. We have already established the operational system that integrate both of optical and SAR imagery to provide the update of the monitoring economic crop, as I mentioned before. And we provide data to Ministry of Agriculture in order to manage the agriculture area in the country. So for the output of this one, we have the analytics on crop area, crop productivities, and also we try to improve the yield forecasting, the methodology and the models. The expectation from the ESA collaboration is we hope to gain more access to Copernicus agricultural service such as Senfo Agri. Also, we want to co-develop the model that tailor for the crop growth in Thailand. And also, for the regional agriculture dashboard in the Asian, we want to monitor the crop activity in the region. For the additional, because of the satellite, the new one, the biomass already launched and is already do some calibration. It's going to send the data soon, right? So in Thailand, we developed the application named Carbon Atlas, which is utilize the LiDAR terrestrial laser scanner to scan the biodiversity, the green area, along all of the country. So we have very strong ground truth data that it might help the Copernicus to calibrate and validate the P-band data. So this one, we seeking for the support. We seeking for support, like ourselves, support the process of calibration and validation of the biomass P-band. And also, we want to use data back to calibrate and validate our model either. So it's going to be two-way collaboration. The expect outcome, we want to improve the above ground biomass accuracy for the high density at tropical forests. And we want to continue contribution to the global carbon accounting and climate mitigation tracking. So what we expectation under the scope digital? So we envision the seamless integration of Copernicus dataset with GISTDA data, as well as robust training and capacity building for Thai EO expert and operation level. So we aim to foster an ASEAN-level collaboration framework that promote the downstream EO startup and industry innovation. For the conclusion, I'm sorry that the text is really small. In closing, Thailand will the project the Scope Digital as a platform that help us to sustain natural resource management and also with the data-driven cooperation. By combining all of your side the expertise with the Asian need and also the partnership between GISTDA and ESA and supporting by EU. I hope this will lead to innovation in environmental monitoring, climate smart agriculture, carbon modeling, and regional capacity building. And together, I hope we can drive the sustainability and innovation in Southeast Asia. Okay, thank you for your attention, and I look forward to discuss with you and with the collaboration together. Thank you.
First off, I would just like to say thank you to Dr. Sirikul for the launch. So the people in the audience who don't know, just an hour ago, we launched the latest Sentinel satellite. It's currently in orbit and doing well. Sentinel 6B. So I'm very happy to finish this round of introduction to the overall Scope Digital project and talk a little bit about Copernicus, what's in stock for the future, and also a bit about collaboration. So many of the points that I've been thinking of have already been said by all of our wonderful partners. So I'll try and do a presentation a little bit quick. So 34 years ago now, we launched the ERS satellite. This is the first comprehensive environmental and geophysics satellite that ESA launched for continuous monitoring, that is to say. And when this image came down first, it was processed in Frascati, which is where Benjamin and I work. It's the Earth Observation Office, campus, if you like, of ESA. And this image was all scrambled and didn't make any sense when it came down. And it turned out that our processing pipeline was wrong and there was nothing wrong with the satellite. Luckily, we could fix it on the ground. But when we finally got the image produced and everything was okay with the satellite, all of Frascati was turned upside down, or at least within our office. Well, I was not there 34 years ago. This is what I hear. But my point of this is that 34 years ago, one image was enough to make everyone crazy, right? Today, we have thousands upon thousands of images streaming down every single day, many of them coming from the Copernicus program. And now the question is more, what do we do with all of this? How do we make actionable and real decisions and impact from all of this data? So today, we have all of this. These are not even all of them. There are also some additional missions to this. You have Sentinel 6B is there, so right on time at the end of 2025. We have the ESA science missions, the Copernicus missions with the European Union and ESA, and the missions from EUMETSAT. But these are all designed to work together as well. They're not separate streams. These numbers here to the right should now also go up with one from an hour ago. And And quietly, well, not so quietly, but over the last 40 years, Europe has been continuously expanding our Earth observation missions so that we now have the most complete environmental records of the whole world. So you don't have to measure, or so you don't have to guess how the globe is doing. You can now measure it. And the story of European Earth observation, or Earth observation in general, is not one big bang moment with one cool satellite to do everything. It's about persistently launching satellites, coordinated investments, building the algorithms, the ground segment, and also importantly, building the people behind it. And as you can see, there's a long history of doing this, and this is going to continue in the future. So we use all of these satellites to what we like at ESA to say, taking the pulse of our planet. We've heard about the terrible disasters hitting the Philippines. Also hear this from our colleagues from Indonesia. And using these satellites from the Copernicus program and the other satellites from our colleagues, we can do disaster risk resilience. We can help do climate resilience, sorry. We can better support maritime security, agriculture. We can improve the economy and help people all over the world. It's a very powerful system, and it helps us figuring out the state of the globe, take the pulse, as we say. But this is a massive undertaking, and it is a very big program, the Copernicus program. It is the largest producer of Earth observation data in the world, with the whole landmass of the globe covered every 5 days at 10-meter resolution. This is taking just Sentinel-1 and 2. This was actually also before Sentinel-1D was launched earlier, so this might be even better now. Or it is even better now, but I don't know what the exact number is. With more than 30 terabytes of data being produced by the Sentinels, 30 terabytes of data being produced every single day, 350 terabytes of data disseminated every single day. And the most important part of this, that we've also heard from our colleagues here, is what you see in the bottom right corner, the full free and open data policy. So one thing that makes Copernicus very unique is that it's free and open for the whole world to use. This is thanks to this document, first drafted as the ESA Sentinel data policy, which was later turned into law by the European Union at the end of 2023. And along with this policy is a commitment to a long-term schedule and multiples of the same types of satellite being launched. So you have not just one Sentinel-1, you have Sentinel-1, A, B, C, and D, and a promise of continuity in the future. So it's a long-term plan, it's a long-term investment. It is reliable, it's stable, it makes sense to build stuff on top of. These are the Sentinels as they look now. Green means they're already launched in orbit and operational. Red means that they're sadly decommissioned. So we've had one that is no longer functional. You have the yellow one here that says 17th of November 2025. This is now green. Yeah, and they are quite diverse. There's a lot of them now, and it is going to grow. So there are more Sentinels planned for the future. We start from a family of 6, the ones you know, and we're growing to a family of 12. So these 6 new satellites, called CO2M, LSTM, Chime, Roselle, Kimmer, and Crystal, all targeting, all with new sensors, targeting new areas. I'm not going to go through all of these and what they are going to do. The next one to launch of these, the first one of the Copernicus expansion mission, is the CO2M missions, which is for anthropogenic CO2. There's also the LSTM mission, which is land surface temperature monitoring. We have a mission scientist for this sitting here in front, so if you have questions for this, talk to Benjamin. And I want to talk a little bit, which has also been addressed earlier, about what we at ESA call Earth Action. But the idea is really, we have been doing this before, but there's even more emphasis on this now, to turn this data into actions. And to do it together through partnerships. Partnerships with governments, development banks, international organizations, international space agencies, and organizations like SGAC, which we were visiting yesterday. So the idea is to go from images from space to insights for society, from single missions to long-term partnerships, and from projects to policy. So there's also a focus on policy. Well, also was before, but more of an emphasis maybe. A good example of taking actions from these data, we have seen images from the International Charter earlier from my colleagues from PhilSA. I'm not going to go into depth on this, but this is a very good example of international collaboration and active use of Earth observation. This example was shown previously from PhilSA. We have, well, actually, we also saw examples of land subsidence shown earlier from my colleagues. We have some images. We have a system previously set up to monitor Jakarta for land subsidence as well. We also have a similar system in place here in the Philippines. Land subsidence is a big issue, and with increasing flooding, the impact of the flooding becomes bigger and bigger, especially in big urban areas like Jakarta, but also in North Manila Bay. In the Mekong Delta, this is also a big issue. Another good example is forest monitoring. Here I took an example from West Papua, where there's every week new images of where there are forest disturbance taking place. So these are, this is illegal logging, you can see in this case, but this can also be forest fires, it can be hurricanes, it could be many causes of this. Illegal gold mining as well, there has been some examples of this, and PhilSA has used this to track down exactly this. These are the three services of COPFIL. They've been talked about extensively already, so I'm not going to mention them too much, but this is what is already in place and is working here in the Philippines. Ground motion monitoring, land, forest, and crop monitoring, and benthic habitat monitoring. And importantly, the infrastructure that underpins this. In the last 2 days, we have been working on the EU Copernicus Youth Challenge together with the Space Generation Advisory Council, where these very enthusiastic and very, very good young people have been working on the use of Copernicus data and implementation plans and also policies to underpin this. We had some very good examples and ideas for young people all over the regions for how to do this. It was very inspiring to see. So I only have 1 minute left, and that works fine because this is my last slide. Biomass has been mentioned before. This is beyond the Sentinels, so these two satellites are not Sentinel satellites. But EarthCare was mentioned earlier by Ben. It's a collaboration with JAXA doing, so I'm not an expert on this, but my perception of it is that it's 3D measurements of clouds. And then we have the biomass mission, which is also in orbit now, with the first data being produced. It's already undergoing CalVal and will be fully operational very soon. This is for creating, so measuring the tree heights and estimating biomass in forest all around the world. And it looks extremely cool. It looks like an umbrella. And that's all I had. Thank you.
Really hope will be a meaningful and multi-stakeholder like discussion on how to advance Europe-ASEAN regional cooperation on Earth observation. Now, I'll try to be as concise as possible for a variety of reasons, because I'm always told, that I look more interesting when I speak less, but also because I've seen, that the panelists were already eager to join the discussion. And what maybe I would like to tell and to remind that basically what we launched before, so the launch of Scope just a few minutes before was an important milestone, but is not an end point, In fact, it is a starting point for building, something bigger, like a starting point within a broader vision, a vision of building basically a shared strategic framework that connects policies, initiatives, and stakeholders across regions. And this is why it's particularly important for me as ESPI is a representative of Europe's independent think tank for space, to be here, because this is actually what we do, providing a bridge, trying to link, policy thinking with operational reality, fostering a dialogue that goes beyond, that transcends, institutional agendas, of individual institutional agendas, but also trying eventually at the end of the day to position space and Earth observation for what Earth observation can truly be, basically, a real and a strategic tool for cooperation and mutual empowerment. Now, the session that we opened today is and it should be seen and also used by all of us here, like in this room, as an opportunity, to deepen EU-ASEAN dialogue, on Earth observation cooperation, a dialogue that should have like two features in our view, First of all, it should be not just a conceptual, or embedded in diplomatic nicety, but it should really lean towards concrete actions, towards implementation. And two, it should be a dialogue that really tries to connect ecosystems across regions and also different stakeholders within those ecosystems. So from space agency, public institutions, research, academia, but also the private sector. And why? This always comes these policy questions, The panels will address the how do we connect, But here's like, when you tell policymakers, they always ask you, why do you want to do a thing, Why do we want to connect space ecosystems across regions? Why do we need to work together, the answer actually, and I want to echo a motto that we often use at ESPI recently, is that it takes a village. It takes a village, to deliver effective EO services and ensure their integration into policymaking at scale, at speed. So basically, from a programmatic perspective, we need this connection because this is the only way we can scale solution horizontally, basically. Adapting EO initiatives like Copernicus, Scope, like HopFil, across multiple Asian contexts, here like in Southeast Asia. From a policy perspective, we also need to connect because this is also the way to scale up benefits efficiently, basically. So multiplying impact while also minimizing or reducing the burden that stems, from standalone initiative, in national context. So basically, but like to do this and to unlock like the full potentials of initiatives like Scope, for instance, we need to identify common priorities, basically, so that solution developed in one context can be either replicated or adapted at scale in multiple contexts. And let me be clear here, like the diversity or the mega diversity, of the ASEAN country, as we heard like from Villorente before, it is a challenge, but it's not a weakness per se. Actually, I would even argue that it can be a remarkable asset provided that is guided and supported by an open dialogue and a structured cooperation. Because basically through cooperation, we can address basically different facets of the same objective, of the same problem. Let's think, for instance, hazard management, more systematically. That is actually the point. In fact, like dialogues like the one we're having today, should apply this logic, are about identifying, points of convergence, right? In our needs and objectives, so we can discuss how Earth observation solutions can be scaled up and integrated in different contexts. This, of course, has to be done in parallel to a partnership on the technical side, as we also saw with COPFIL, on the research side and on the commercial side, to make sure that once policy objectives basically are defined, space capabilities are there to act. When priorities, and this is actually a point that we need to make, we need to discuss about initiatives and partnerships that are simultaneously driven by real problems, policy objectives, and technology, rather than just technology or policy objectives. So we need the integration of all these components, And when priorities are clear, when policy needs shape the use of space data and space assets, basically, then cooperation becomes more focused, impactful, and also sustainable in the long term. And this is actually the direction we should all be working towards, basically, a purpose-driven, problem-solving model of space collaboration that has all relevant stakeholders, basically, on board. Now, having stressed the why of a multi-stakeholder discussions across regions, let me also stress that, of course, like the focus of today's discussion is on EU-ASEAN cooperation, but that this cooperation is but one of the many links, within a broader landscape of international cooperation within this Asian context, and also beyond. That includes important partners like Japan and Australia that we will also have in today's panel discussions. What we discuss today basically is not an alternative approach to cooperation, but a complementary approach to cooperations, to existing platforms, and also to the very missions of PhilSA, which over the past 30 years, 31 years in fact, has been trying to strengthen, the regional space ecosystem and foster a regional integration, as we said, in such a diverse landscape, And as a matter of fact, I also want to remind that basically what we discussed today well connects, to the overarching theme, of this year, PhilSA, which is empowering space ecosystems in action. And empowerment in this context actually means more than capacity building. It goes a step beyond, It means activation. So basically enabling ecosystems to work together effectively, to combine governance, innovation, and entrepreneurship, in a way that it delivers something concrete, that is not only vague. And this actually brings us to the how. How do we do things, And we will discuss this in our 3-panel discussion, which will explore basically the key dimension of these collaborations. So institutional cooperation in panel 1, where we will address the role of cooperation in expanding the use of Copernicus data across multiple institutions within ASEAN countries. So basically, how do we move from national strategies into a regional uptake? Is there an opportunity, to ensure this scale? Then number 2, research and innovation, basically on the research and academic side in panel 2, that will address how to harness EO data for science, education, service co-development, and basically move, from data, to an actual impact. And then private sector engagement in panel 3, where we will address public-private, collaboration to unlock scalable, let me add this adjective, EO-based solutions. Now, together, like we discuss, all this discussion should help us move, from pilot activities in one context to operational collaborations in more contexts. And basically, let me just invite all panelists that will come on stage, to share lessons learned, best practice, concrete next steps, towards a more resilient, connected Earth observation, basically, services across the region, but also not to shy away from the challenges. And of course, like the many roadblocks that for sure stand in the way when we want to integrate, scale and integrate Earth observation, Copernicus data and services, in multiple national contexts, And what are the challenges? How can we tackle those challenges? Basically, and if I may conclude, just one last 10 seconds, basically, the session like today is not just a dialogue. So it is a dialogue, in fact, but it's also a step forward, in shaping a shared agenda for Earth observation cooperations between EU and the ASEAN regions. By connecting our ecosystems, aligning objectives, and combining our needs, we can really turn Earth observation to a more powerful instrument, for resilient, sustainable development, and also inclusion. So let's use actually this opportunity to really try to think boldly, also discuss frankly, openly, among like all the panelists, and also act collectively, so we can make space cooperation, and Earth observation cooperation a real engine for shared progress and also empowerment, as I said. Thank you so much for your attention, and wish you all a meaningful conversation.
I would like to deliver related to the what kind of scope digital can support to the regional. My friend, Ms. Parwati already talked about how space digital support the national in Indonesia, and I will try to bring this the scope digital to support the regional activities, to support the existing scheme, and also to support what is the also working group at the regional in the Southeast Asia. First of all, I would like to say thank you to European Space Agency that you already provide us with a lot of data, with a lot of youth data, And we already implement this data to provide the methodology and to provide the operational thing, for example, for land use, land cover change, forest monitoring, crop monitoring, land subsidence, burn area mapping, and also for mangrove, ship detection, oil spill, water state, and also lake monitoring. And we already have also several users in Indonesia that use this data. For example, in our institution, National Research and Innovation Agency, also there is a Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Forestries, Ministries of Marine and Fisheries, Indonesian Coastal Guard, and also Ministry of Environment, National Bureau of Statistics, local government, and also universities. If we talk about the EO service, and if we talk about EO service in the region, we have to deal with the environmental issue in the region. For example, here in the Southeast Asia, we have a lot of environmental issue that we have to combat with this environmental issue. That, for example, we have in the Southeast Asia, we have deforestation. We have also disaster. Philippines, Indonesia is in the ring of fire of disaster. So many disasters happen in our region. For example, we have flood, we have landslide, we have earthquake, we have tsunami. But in the beginning, people said that our country is a supermarket of disaster. Right now, we have to change that not only supermarket, not a supermarket disaster, but we have a change with the disaster laboratory. So this is our country is a laboratory of disaster. So people can come to our country to do research for disaster. Also, in South Asia, we have environmental issue, for example, for air pollution. We have also transboundary haze pollution due to the forest fire. Also, climate change, land subsidence, and also coral reef degradation, water pollution, plastic pollution, and also overfishing. So, this is a scheme that Scope Digital can support for this environmental issue in the Southeast Asia. So how Scope Digital support Southeast Asia? So the first is we have to get the easy and rapid data access. I think the idea to have a mirror site in Philippines also it is a solution to have easy and rapid data. And also the Scope Digital can improve the capacity building and also skill, and also support the operational uptake, and also regional integration and support working group in the Southeast Asia. And also the Scope Digital can enhance our monitoring system capacity. I will try to highlight for the regional integration and support a working group in the South Asia, because there are many schemes and also there are many working groups in the region, in the Southeast Asia. So if you know that we have right now, for disaster response, we have the scheme of Sentinel Asia. We have a scheme of International Charter. And also we have in Indonesia signed as a regional supporting office on UN Spider in 2016. So this is Scope Digital can support for the disaster response. So you can will be more easy to get the data to analyze if there is a disaster happen in Indonesia, so or in the region in the Southeast Asia, so we can analyze very fast on how to use the satellite imagery in this Southeast Asia region. And also there is a scheme or working group. We call it the transboundary haze pollution. It is ASEAN transboundary haze pollution due to the forest fire happened in the Southeast Asia. We have a technical working group to combat the transboundary haze pollution, and also we already have a monitoring center in the ASEAN. So Scope Digital can support with this data, and for example, using Sentinel 5P and also Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, we can detect the location of a burn area and etc. And for the maritime surveillance, since 2023, UNODC also make a connection between the National Coastal Guard with the Space Agency. They try to use the AO information to detect, for example, illegal activities in a region. For example, to detect the ship and also detect the oil spill, detect what is ship-to-ship detection, and it is also good using the Sentinel-1 and also Sentinel-2. Yeah, in the region also we have a crop monitoring, GeoGLAM, and Asia rice crop monitoring, and we can use the scope digital, or this can use the data to support the crop monitoring in the Southeast Asia. It is many organizations involved in this crop monitoring, Asia rice crop monitoring. And also for the deforestation. For the deforestation, there is an ASEAN Working Group on Forestry and Climate Change. We can support with the scope digital data. We can support with the European Space Agency data to detect the deforestation, to detect the forest disturbance, and also we can detect the forest and also land use change. And also land subsidence. We are in Indonesia together with IDB since 2019, and we try to monitor also with ESA to monitor the land subsidence in our region, because especially on the north coast of Java. In the north coast of Java, the land subsidence is very much. It's average 4 centimeters per year, so it's very much, and we have to take care of this the land subsidence, because improve the flood and also improve the activities in Indonesia. I think I will try to close with the statement that there is initiative that BRIN and UNESCAP initiative that BRIN and UNESCAP proposed. We call it the virtual satellite constellation. And Scoop Digital can support this virtual satellite constellation. And also, if possible, we have ASEAN satellite constellation. For example, Philippines have own satellite, Indonesia have own satellite, and maybe Thailand has own satellite. We make a collaboration as a satellite constellation. They will make operational together, and we can receive the data if the satellite cross our country. So this is what the idea to have a satellite, ASEAN satellite constellation. Is this ASEAN Space Agency? Maybe, but this is still a question. And strengthening the collaboration. And also we try to support on how to strengthening the Earth observation capacity. I think that's all my talk. Thank you very much.